The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to An Open Door on the Arts. My name is Barbara Richer, and I am your host as we travel throughout the Capital Region, meeting the many amazing artists that enrich our life. Now, we don't have to travel very far today. While it's a beautiful day, we could almost walk from here down to the Center Gallery, which is a beautiful little gem of an art space nestled between Pearl Street and Broadway, right in Albany. Found a nice niche for itself. It's on Columbia Street, and it's quite lovely with an amazing tin ceiling, wonderful lighting, beautiful wall space, a very exciting little gem of a gallery right here in the middle of Albany. And we're going to be going down to visit it with their executive director and creative director. This is a test if I can say his name absolutely correctly. He is Tony Iadicicco. Tony Iadicicco. It's an amazing name. You should see it in writing. Tony, I'm so pleased to have you here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
You know, I've known that gallery's been down there, and maybe a lot of our audience has known too for quite a long while. And no excuse for not getting down there more often. Just no excuse, because when you get there, there's a little park right opposite it.
Yep. There's
your doorway, and you walk in, and you always know there's going to be magic. So, you know, it behooves us to come on down and open those doors. So, Tony, Executive and Creative Director.
Yes.
Can you tell us how the Albany Center Gallery came to be on Columbia Street?
So the gallery is coming up on its 40th anniversary, so we have a pretty long history. We started off at the Psychiatric Center, New Scotland Ave, in 1977. Then we went to the...
Now that was Leslie Urbach.
Yeah, Les Urbach was the founder of the gallery. So he's a name to be reckoned with in the area.
That,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of what helps the gallery kind of stay along with the current times, is that people from the 70s appreciated and respected what he did, and now we have younger people as well coming up. Yeah. So it kind of brings all of these worlds together.
He kind of started the ball rolling, and now we're all caught up in it.
Absolutely.
That's great.
So then we were at the Psychiatric Center. We were also at the Albany Public Library, and also on Monroe Street, which is now home to the 17 Chapel condominiums.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I did have something to do with that back a while ago when it was had become a condominium. What a wonderful site that was. Now that's where I remember him from, the Psychiatric Center and the Center Gallery from Monroe Street. Yeah. That was a very wonderful place to go and have lunch and to see contemporary art.
Absolutely. And it was a very large space.
Yes.
So what we have now in downtown on Columbia Street is about 1,600 square feet. So it's nice and cozy and it's comfortable.
Intimate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And you can take in the work, in just a couple hours. You can stay there and really just have a good time in the space.
Yes, yes. I noticed that just a week ago when I came down to visit again and talk to you, and made a vow to get down there more often and try to get as many people as we can down to see you. So this year and next year, you're celebrating your 40th anniversary?
So in April will be our 40th anniversary. So we started showcasing artwork in 1976, but then we were incorporated as a nonprofit in 1977. So we're kind of in the middle of our 40th, but also coming up on our 40th anniversary. Right. So there's a lot of exciting things that are being planned and that we're working on.
Tell me what kinds of things you bring into this space.
So the gallery, our mission is to showcase and promote local and regional artists. And the idea is that there's a lot of talent and gems that are in the area that either went to school here or that moved here from other locations. And our mission is to showcase and promote those artists. So it goes from traditional work to avant-garde to contemporary work, where there's just so much amazing work being produced. So really there is no specific theme or style. It's quality work. That's what we want to strive to show.
And it's dedicated, though, to local artists?
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And how many shows do you have in a season?
So our mission says to do 7 exhibits, and after losing funding, our goal was we need to do more. So then we increased it to 9 exhibits inside the gallery space. And the idea is that artists and the creatives are able to do more with less, and there's ways of problem solving, and that's kind of being an artistic person to try to do more with less.
To creatively do that.
Absolutely. So we do 9 exhibits inside the gallery space, and we also showcase outside of the gallery space in pop-up shows.
I want to get to those because I don't know if everybody knows what they are, and it was kind of new to me. So, but you talked about losing funding. Now, where did that original funding come from, and what happened to that funding?
So we were supported by the City of Albany since the incorporation of the gallery. So the Psychiatric Center, we were provided free space. They actually used to pay the salary of the director then. And then through the years, we built up funding to where it helped us kind of sustain our efforts to showcase and promote artists. In about 2011, the city had to cut funding to the arts. So then the idea was we had to buckle down and really partner and collaborate with other organizations.
I think you were caught with several other organizations that lost funding at that time, right?
Yep. So the idea was that they created a Wine and Dine for the Arts Festival, which was to help bring artists together, bring organizations together to help raise funds to make sure we're able to survive, when the economy was kind of tough.
Right, because it is amazing the number of artists we have in this region, and just how talented they really and truly all are.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible.
Yeah.
So you network with all of these other folks and do the Wine and Dine and bring in funding, and then network with all of them and put on at least 9 exhibits a season.
And the idea is that, with the shows that we curate, they're hand-selected artists. Artists are able to submit to the gallery, but then we have a committee that reviews all the work. So it's a nice process to where they could get critiqued, they can get feedback. But once we set the artists that we want to showcase, it allows us to kind of schedule a year in advance, but also know what artists we're going to be working with so we can plan around that.
Now, this is probably just showing my ignorance, but when you showcase, would you bring in more than one artist with a specific theory of the show, or do you always focus on one artist in a showcase?
So I guess as far as conceptualizing or curating a show, it's in our minds we're thinking of what needs to be seen.
Okay.
So for example, if photography needs to be seen, we'll think of the area's top photographers, and then we'll try to connect them through things. Whether it's for example with iPhones, people are using those to take images. So a show you could do is based on iPhone images, which is a little bit different than a standard camera or a digital camera. It's now a phone that you will constantly have on you with the camera.
Yet?
We haven't. That could actually be something that we could do.
Doesn't it sound like a great
Absolutely.
idea? It sounds like a great idea to me. Would you bring in different artists and their concept of what a cell phone picture would or an iPhone picture would look like?
Yeah. And the idea is that once the idea is there, we can kind of just develop it more. So it has its own creativity as part of the idea. So it's kind of always evolving and changing, which is nice.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And might you also curate the work of just one specific artist?
Yes. So we have a Then and Now. It's usually a retrospective show, which we do once a year, where we highlight usually one artist that showed with the gallery, in the 70s or 80s, and then we bring them back for the now to see what they've been working on.
Interesting.
So a few notable ones was the Ed Cowley exhibit that we did, Tom Breitenbach, which we just did last year, Mary Pat Wager, we did her exhibit 2 years ago. So the idea is we highlight these artists that have been producing artwork at a high level, for over 30 years, and they live in this region. So we try to showcase that and make sure people can see it.
Now, this is the Breitenbach that does the wonderful proverbial.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Tom, T.E. Yeah, that's his work that he does.
He's very interesting artist.
It's beautiful. And he's also working on a performance called Hieronymus, which is also very exciting.
I was just going to do that nice little plug, so keep on going with that.
It's amazing because he's kind of like a Renaissance man. He can do it all.
Yes.
So it's nice that we were able to work with him in the 70s, bring him back in 2014, 2013, and then see that he's still producing very exciting work.
Yes.
So it's
And he's
great.
crossed over into music.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's wonderful. So tell us, even though this will be airing after the show ends that we have right now there, but it's such an interesting show, but then tell us what we might expect coming up.
Absolutely. So currently at the gallery, we do the high school regional, which is showcasing 22 local high schools and 109 students.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I believe this year is their 18th year, but they rotate the exhibit to other galleries in the region. So the idea is that a few galleries get to have the opportunity to showcase these up-and-coming artists.
Oh, how nice.
So it's
And this
it's great.
year, it's your turn.
And this year it's our turn. Yep. And so when the students are there, at our opening reception, we had probably 300 people in the space, and the idea was that all of the students were already talented enough to be in the exhibit, because we had to turn away a few hundred students just based on
That's
size of work alone.
amazing.
Yeah.
And this is local high schools.
Correct. Yep.
That's amazing.
So this is, Shaker High, Columbia, Guilderland, Mahonison, Schenectady, Albany.
Voorheesville.
Yeah, Voorheesville. I mean, there's a lot of talented schools as well too. That
I
are,
think East Bern or Bern is.
Yep,
I
Bern,
think
Knox,
Knox
yep,
Westerlo is in there too.
so
That's grand.
It's amazing that there's that many schools that are producing high quality artists that are making nice work.
Yes.
And
yes.
the exciting part is people actually want to purchase the work. So
Oh,
these are
that's
students,
wonderful.
yeah, that are in 9th grade and 10th grade that they have the opportunity to sell artwork.
Actual offers.
Yeah.
Well, I can vouch for that for our audience. I went down last week to talk with Tony about this interview, and I was stunned. I don't know what I expected. It certainly wasn't as my expectations were nowhere near as grand as my experience there. They were marvelous pictures by these local teenagers in high school. Really thought-provoking, very interesting art. Unfortunately, by the time this airs, you won't be able to see it. But what do you have coming up next?
So the next at the gallery is the Mohawk Hudson Regional Invitational, and that's another exhibit where the Mohawk Hudson Regional, I think, has been going on for 75 years, and that rotates from the Hyde to the Albany Institute of History and Arts, and also Albany Museum. And what we do is we go there and we select artwork from the pre-curated show to bring to the gallery. So we highlight them in more depth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So,
Now these are artists again from the region.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, because that's grand.
and
how long? When does that open, and how long will that run?
It opens May 6th, and it runs for 4 weeks. So it'll have an opening reception on Friday the 6th. And that's where you can meet and greet with the artists. You can look at the work, talk with them about it as well, too.
So our audience would be able to get
Absolutely.
there by the end of May. They could see this.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. And where do you go from there?
So from there, we are going to work on a 2-person show to where it works on the concept of the show is everyday documentation through photography or mixed media. So it's kind of going to take you through a journey of artists' eyes and what they see and how they kind of assemble the world around them.
Now, is this, when you say, is this all photography then?
No, it's 1 photographer and 1 painter.
Oh, okay.
And that'll be our summer exhibits. And then in addition to the summer show that we have at the gallery, we also will take part in Art on Lark, which is like an art festival.
Now, is this where we get into the pop-ups?
Yeah, so this is kind of the pop-up idea is that...
And I must say just to our audience, again, if you're not familiar with that term, and I was sort of familiar, but I was very excited about it once Tony told me how many pop-ups you actually do and how many different places they are. So can you tell our audience about that?
Yeah, so the pop-up shows are, seeing artwork in places where you might not normally see it, in different buildings. Some are vacant buildings, some are open rooms where there's just artwork there. And the idea is that it's bringing artwork to the people. If they don't come to the gallery, the idea is we still want to provide artwork to them. So we actually go out and we find these places where people are already gathered or places where people aren't really there. We can hopefully draw them to go to those locations.
And so you mentioned to me, and I wanted to mention because some of them would be things that would be coming up where you've done that in the past. And you just mentioned one, I think it's Art on Lark.
Art on Lark,
where
yep.
you're going to
so we'll
pop up at some time.
Yeah, we're going to have 4 gallery spaces actually. So it'll be a really large presence on Lark Street with other artists and vendors. And the idea is we bring walls there, we bring tents there, and we pretend it's an outdoor gallery space. And the idea is to showcase, promote, and sell those works on that day as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, did you actually have people there painting at one time?
Yeah, so actually for the past 4 years we've done it. We've done a community painting where, people are inspired by seeing all the work, and they can
Right.
actually have a chance to produce a piece of artwork with other working artists as well.
I think that's completely wonderful.
Yeah,
That's just a great idea. Now, did you come up with that idea?
Well, I guess live painting, it's always like that entertainment aspect of it.
Right.
We just kind of morphed it into tying it into the community, because
Right.
if you see a 5-year-old kid walk up and want to paint, he
Sure.
can just get on the canvas
Sure.
and paint. So I don't think it was my idea. It's just I probably seen it happening, and it just seems
And
like
brought it in.
it seems
Yeah.
like the thing to do is to make sure younger kids are also able to paint
Enjoy
and
it.
have a good
Enjoy
time.
it at that level.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. And then I think you also said you're at, or maybe it was on the website, at downtown Albany.
Yeah, so downtown Albany,
Concourse.
they have they have the Black Arts and Cultural Festival, where
Yes.
we'll showcase artwork. In September, we have September in the City, where the gallery works with the City of Albany in special events. In Tricentennial Park, across from the gallery, to bring artists and crafters and vendors there.
Wonderful.
And the idea is there's a lot of artists that we could constantly, every day have artwork, and that's how it should be.
It is. This is such a rich area when it comes to that. And that reminds me of it's exactly the same thing as a few years ago they started showing where concert members would all like converge at Penn Station or Grand Central or something and
Yeah.
suddenly start singing an aria and
Yeah.
people would just be stunned. And this is visual arts,
Absolutely.
the same thing.
And
That's wonderful.
That's kind of the exciting part, is that it can happen spontaneously anywhere, and
Right.
people that see it or are exposed to it, they're going to remember that, and they'll hopefully want to see more of it. So it's always
Well,
good.
in this day and age when we have so many arts cuts in schools and federal funding for programs and everything else, it is going back to the street is one of the few ways that we have to really be sure that people can keep embracing it on some level.
Absolutely.
And then get to the gallery
Yeah.
as soon as they can, because we should mention it's free also.
Yep. It's free and open to the public.
Free and open to the public. I can't even believe that. You can just spend 2 hours seeing fabulous art and sit and study it, and it's free, and it's a beautiful setting.
And it always rotates too, which is nice, because if you come in 1 month and then you're not around for 2 or 3 months, you can come back and there'll be something new and exciting there.
Yes.
So it's nice that it has that rotation.
Yes. Do you ever find yourself chasing yourself, trying to keep up with all of it?
Yeah, it's definitely part of, I guess, the job is doing these events and activities, and it's the important part of it. So sometimes I try to make sure I can relax and enjoy what we're doing, but usually we're always running.
Well, 2 things to follow that. I am impressed that you are the one paid employee in this whole arts organization.
Yeah.
So you're the creative director and the executive director, and you have your finger on the pulse of arts all over the place. But you do have volunteers that come in, and that's wonderful. What would somebody do if they wanted to become a volunteer, and what kind of work might they expect to do?
Yeah, so for our volunteers, it's volunteers, also student interns, and then our board of directors. All of them kind of help make all of this happen, and I think
Sure.
that's the exciting part, is that it's not just one person, it's a team of people that are dedicated to artwork and showcasing it and promoting it. So for example, if somebody wanted to volunteer, they could email me or call me, and we set up a meeting and we discuss what abilities or what things they enjoy doing, and then we try to figure out how that works for the gallery. And the idea is, if they really enjoy doing it and it matches up with what the gallery is doing, it's kind of a win-win, and that's like a good relationship, to where
Absolutely.
Whoever's involved is giving what they enjoy, but at the same time it's benefiting the community. So
Exactly. That's
awesome.
wonderful. So folks listening, if they feel like they might have, or even if they are not quite sure what their ability might be, they could contact the gallery
Absolutely. Yep.
and see.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, now I have some more personal questions.
sure.
You usually imagine, I think, that people that are involved in the arts, such as you and what you're doing, they may or may not have some arts talent background themselves. They can be incredibly wed to the arts and promoting of the arts and appreciative of the arts, but they don't always have a talent that they're actually bringing, a personal talent that they're bringing. And I've always known that you've been an artist of some kind, but not exactly and precisely how wonderful you are as an artist. And I did want to share with all of our audience that Tony has won Tomorrow's Artist Today award by the Albany Institute of History and Art, the Norman S. Rice Arts, Culture, and Education Award, Best Local Artist by Capital Region Living, and Local Hero by Metroland, which it must be incredibly sincere because you are at so many events and so supportive of so much. And that's wonderful. But your artwork that you show at your websites and Facebook is very lovely and amazing. I mean, both lovely in one category and absolutely amazing and off the wall.
That's exciting.
In other categories, quite excellent. So when did you know you had this talent, and what are you doing with it?
I guess knowing that I've had the talent, to me and what I want to try to work with younger people as well, is that everybody has it. And it's just taking the opportunity to practice it and be dedicated and focused on doing something. So for me, it was always drawing and painting. And then the more recent style, and especially the things on my website, are these abstract pieces where it's kind of movement and color and emotion, and to me it's very therapeutic, to where it's something that it's calming. So with things always, with work being busy, that's kind of a good way to kind of have an outlet or a way of going into another place. And the exciting thing is there's no right or wrong in the works that I produce. To me, it's once my eyes are happy with it, then I'll stop painting it and move on to the next one. So really, it's just something that it's a good kind of comfort for me, and hopefully inspirational when people see it. And it is pretty sometimes, and sometimes it's very raw, depending on the work and the medium that I'm using. It can be kind of everything in between, but that's kind of the realness of the world. It's it has beauty and it has sorrow.
Absolutely.
But that's the idea, is that these lights are kind of shining through of hope and inspiration.
And much of your art that I could see online also has a wonderfully humorous side to it, or it seems to. Is that part of your personality? Part of your smile?
Yeah,
anyway?
Probably. To me, I always enjoy laughing and joking, and that's kind of. Maybe it just comes through in the work.
Well, it's a huge breadth of emotions that you're displaying your talent. I could live with some of those calming pictures. I could live with them.
Yeah.
That's great. And I could go out and get jazzed by some of the other things.
Yeah.
And you definitely see your sense of humor in them. So
that's awesome.
I would urge all of our audience, and it will be at the end on the tag line, to visit Tony at his website, and it'll give you, if you just Google his name, about 4 or 5 places come up, and you can visit him all over the place. He's, I guess you're where you belong. Do you feel like you're where you belong right now?
I feel very happy. To me, every day is, as long as I'm here, that's where I belong. And the idea is to just do as much, either through art or through family and just life, of doing as much as I can. So that's a good place.
Well, I think that's what the gallery reflects by your programming, by your various programming. So many concepts of where art comes from, who it comes from, how it's delivered. That's the reflection of the gallery, and the feeling that you have when you walk in the door of being home, of not being rushed, of being just there, not having to have any pre-knowledge, just to enjoy what you can. Go away and come back, in a month and be surprised all over again. So it looks like on both levels right now, creating a new history for the Center Gallery and creating a new artist for our region are coming to fruition through this. I'm so glad you were here today.
Absolutely, I'm very happy.
I'm glad that the Center Gallery is once again nestled right where we want everybody to come into downtown Albany. I'm old enough to remember the day that there was a lot going on in downtown Albany, and that's where people went for excitement, to shop, to go out after work, to go to a movie, to see a piece of theater. And we're struggling still to get it back. It's coming there, but it's still struggling to get back. So I would urge all of you to come, give Pearl Street, give Broadway a chance again. And the way you get between those two places is to come across Columbia and the Albany Center Gallery. It's just a wealth of loveliness right there in our town. So, Tony, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll have Tony back again when there's another new opening. Keep you all posted. In the meantime, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.